Hi you guys, I am going to paint some address labels. These are Avery brand, and then template number is 5160. Make sure I'm on the right side. These are clear. So I'm almost out of return address labels. So I wanted to just try to make my own. I don't know how it will work on these clear ones. But I'm going to paint the background on here first, and then I'm going to run them through my printer to put my return address information. So I don't know how that's going to work. But I have a inkjet printer, so it wouldn't work for me to do it the other way around because the ink would just smear if I printed the address first and then added all this wet medium on top of it. So this first color that I'm adding is from Americana, and the color is violet, vivid violet. Yeah, so it's doing what I kind of thought that it would do. So let me get a softer brush. Since these are clear, they're kind of a plasticky. That rough brush is just, you know, kind of gooping up the paint. So this is a softer brush. This is Anita's, and the color is, I'm going to change my mind. This is Anita's, and the color is Wasabi. I think what I'm going to do is add some water to my brush, my cheap brush that's fallen apart, just to kind of help it spread a little. And that was probably too much paint. Take a baby wipe and kind of wipe some of that off. Better yet, let's use my drop paper. I'll rub that on there. Hey, look, it kind of looks like a jelly print. That looks cool. Thank you, Nina, for the great idea. Kind of lost all my color on there. That's okay. We'll get it back. We will get it back. It actually kind of toned everything down good, so actually I'm going to leave it like that. Let's take some blue. This is a bright blue. This is, again, Anita's, and it's blue water. Let's get a stencil. just the makeup sponge. We can put this right on our drop paper. Definitely don't have to get every spot of this stencil. Get some color on there. It's pulling up some more of the paint. So the paper labels might work out better for this, but I had these because I used these on my mom's live butterfly release. I put some labels with her picture and a sentiment on the outside of butterfly envelopes, and so I wanted clear labels, and so I had some of these left, so that's why I'm using these. Otherwise, if you're gonna go and buy labels, I would probably get the regular white ones. I don't think I would get the clear ones. They'll probably be fine once it dries, but it is pulling my paint off. So that's what we got so far. These are really easy to clean if you just plop them in some water, these plastic stencils. Let's see, do I want to add any more color? I think I want to add some more pink back into it. There's the violet. I'm just going to dump some. I kind of lost all of it. So I'm just going to take my sponge. Just kind of a purple now because it's got that blue on it, but that's okay. It's just not porous at all because this is more like a plastic, so. It's going to take longer for it to dry. And I don't have a heat tool yet, so. I'm going to add some white back in it because I don't think that my black ink is going to show up that well because the colors got kind of dark. So I'm just cutting the end of my makeup sponge off. I'm just going to go back over it where it's darker. Kind of mute some of the color back. I don't want to get rid of it, I just want to lighten it a bit. So whenever you start something and it's just not what you want, it's all about just adding more layers to it until you get it to where you want it to be. This is just about out. But I've got another white. The Folk Art brand is a lot thicker of a paint. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter on my makeup sponge. The cheaper paints, they're fine paints, they're just a little bit thinner, a little bit more watered down, which is fine for this kind of thing. Actually, I prefer it. The thicker paints are better for the jelly plate. And of course for painting woods and canvases, but for this type of thing I prefer the more watery types of paint. So see how that just kind of muted everything back a little bit? So now my black ink from my printer will show up better on it, but you can still see the color just fine. I was just afraid that you wouldn't be able to make out the text. You squirted out too much paint there. See, I kind of put too much on there. I put too much on my makeup brush, so I'm just going to try to blot some of that out. So I'm going to take some of this, and since I'm going to use this drop paper for other things, I'm going to go ahead and spread some of this extra paint that I have on here. It's kind of a two-in-one project. And And that way you're not wasting any of your paint. Typically I wouldn't either. I have a book that I put all my unwasted paint in, but this makes it a little bit more interesting. Okay, and I still have some on this baby wipe. Get some of this on here. Edges. These are the envelope or the little boxes that the monarch butterflies were released from at my mom's memorial service. So these are the labels right here with her picture. And then this is the part of the label. And then I added this trim right here that's in the center of it. So this is the label that I stuck onto it, and then I made these 3D butterflies, and each one of them was embossed. So that's what those look like. So these are the labels that I have left over from that. Okay, so that feels dry now. So I thought I would do some stamps with this XOXO since these are return address labels. Use black ink because then it won't show up. This is just a cheap ink pad I got at the Target dollar spot a really long time ago. And no, we're not going to use that because it's all dried up. So let's see. I don't have very many stamps or ink pads. Let's see. Maybe one of my color box. I don't want to use a really dark one. Let's see what color will stand out really well. Maybe this gold one. And I just don't want it to be real dark. That's pretty dark. Maybe we'll just use this splash as the color. This looks like. So they'll go this way. Yeah, that looks good. Except for I did it backwards. Let's go this way. It might look okay in the background. We don't need it to show up a whole lot. Just something back there. If you don't have a stamp, you could just use a gel pen or a marker. Just write them on there. That would be just as easy. But I just got this stamp, so I wanted to try it out anyways. If I didn't have the stamp, I would probably just write something on there. And when these dry, they don't come off. So what's nice about these color box stamps, or these color box chalk block things, they dry permanent. And I know this because I've gotten it on my plexiglass cover on my desk, and it's really hard to get it off of there. And then once we get the black lettering of my address on here, then it'll make everything in the background of this really pop. So I'm not going to put anything black, no black stamps or anything like I normally would on something like this, because we're going to have the black print for my address, since it's a return address label. Put the lid back on that, and then to clean these, I just use, these aren't really baby wipes, they're the Cottonelle wipes, and I just wipe it like that. Kind of fall apart because they're flushable, but I like them better because they smell better. Okay, so we have that. I'm just going to lightly do some little flowers on it. This is a sponge stamp, so they're really absorbent, so I don't want these to get really dark. I don't really want it really close together. So I'm going to do multiple stamps out of each application. I'm not pushing hard at all. So I think I'm good with that. I'm just going to get the extra ink out of these. Can I get the little ghost stamps? And then put the rest on here. I got these at Hobby Lobby. I got like 6. They were all connected together for 99 cents. Okay. So there, I think that's good. Dry. So I'm going to run these through my printer, and then I'll show you what they look like. Okay, you guys, so this is what it turned out like. So as you can see, some of it got a little squiggly on that first column and a little bit down here. So the inkjet printer didn't necessarily like all of it. Most of them are still legible, most of them, not all of them. These ones here turned out pretty well. So if you're gonna do this, I would definitely not get the clear ones. I would get just the regular white Avery letters. This happened because these are the clear. These are the clear labels, and they just don't take the ink well because it doesn't absorb the ink. It resists the ink because they're more of a plastic surface, so it doesn't absorb any of the ink. It just kind of sits on the top of it. So that's what they look like. Let me put one on an envelope so that you can see. So I normally use these manila covered, these yellow colored to send out my stuff. So that's what they'll look like on there. So I like them. Something different. And then if you're just sending them on a regular white envelope, I have some of those too somewhere. Let's take one of these out. That's what it would look like. So I think they're cool. These are bigger too. These are actually address labels. They're not return address labels, but it's what I had on hand, so it's what I used. Just wanted to do something a little bit different, and this kind of came to mind. So I'll be able to use some of them over here. Like these ones are still legible. You can still read them. Like these ones up here, no, you can't read these. But for the most part, you can. So I'm happy with the way it turned out. I kind of had a feeling that that's how the ink was going to react over all of this water-based paint. But for the most part, I think that they came out good. So if you want to give this a try, let me know how it turns out. And I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. And God bless. Bye-bye.